Cessnox, take 2. This hangout is live, I believe. Sorry about that. We were having some technical difficulties on our end, but it should be good to go now. Again, apologies for that, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm Fumbi from We So Nerdy, here with Katie, and we're going to discuss tonight's latest Outlander episode, Blood of My Blood. Katie, how is it going, girl?
Oh, gosh, it's going great. I've had a really great weekend. I hope that all of you have had a great weekend and that you're looking forward to some very passionate discussion tonight for tonight's episode. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
The way Katie characterizes it, passionate. Indeed, it shall be passionate in more ways.
Passionate.
In more ways than one. Okay, so remember that our recap and review of Blood of My Blood is live, and it has 2 new images and 3 new video clips from the episode. So definitely make sure you click on the link below and you go and you take a look, give it a read, share your comments with us. You know we always want to hear from you. So without further ado, let us go ahead and jump right in. So tonight's episode continued with the reunions. Last episode, we got a reunion with Murtaugh. This episode, we got some more reunions. As Lord John Grey arrived at Fraser's Ridge, and he brought young William with him in order to see Jamie. Highly unexpected. Interestingly, this visit provided opportunities for Jamie and William to actually have some adventures together and do some bonding. It also shouldn't surprise us that this surprise visit also brought about several confrontations between Claire and Lord John as well. So basically, I finished the episode and I'm like, basically, Claire is a way better person than I am, but we will get there. We will get there and discuss all of that. So our plan for the episode is basically to start chronologically, talk about Jamie and William's adventure, then talk about Claire and the Lord John Grey stuff, and then wrap up with the end of the episode and 1,000 kisses. So Katie, kick us off. What were your highlights of Blood of My Blood?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I have to kind of piggyback off what you said. The things that I learned about myself this episode is that I am never going to be as good a person as Claire is. I watching her this episode, it makes me appreciate her strength, but it also, I really want to see her one day not go high, not take the high road, and just because you can see her emotions flicker behind her eyes, that she just does not want to be the controlled, measured person, that she does have these like feelings. And one day I just want to see her just let them out.
Yeah.
Because that was me. But I really liked seeing Jamie with William. I thought that was well overdue, because we've always talked about how Jamie has never been in his kid's life, and he's not had a real hand in watching them grow up. And so I think seeing William hunt with Jamie and be able to kind of like try and dress his, the deer, that's a memory that William's always going to have. Absolutely. And that's something that Jamie can say that he had a hand in there. And that made me happy.
I agree. And that was unexpected, right? Because like when the pictures dropped, like the promotional pictures dropped, and you saw Lord John Grey there, I thought that sort of the center of the episode, that the episode would focus much more on, again, sort of Jamie's relationship with Lord John and sort of the conflict there, but also how they have a really great friendship. But it ended up really being these 2 storylines, as I sort of laid out at the beginning, where we get to see Jamie have this really meaningful experience with his son, who doesn't know that he's his son, right? But still get to have this meaningful experience. And then we see Claire and Lord John Grey. And the thing that I think I need to say right off the bat is that I I think I've always been honest with you guys that I am here for Jamie and Claire. Jamie and Claire are the reason I read this. I've read the series. Jamie and Claire are the reason I watch the show, right? So for me, just like being in my mindset, I'm so like, I as a person, as a consumer of this material, I am so bound up in Jamie and Claire's relationship, and certainly Claire as a character. So everything that sort of happens in this world, I view as if I were Claire, right? And any threats to Jamie and Claire's relationship or potential challenge to Jamie and Claire's relationship, like I am very hostile towards it. So, I mean, I was very hostile towards Leary. I was very hostile towards Frank. I am very hostile towards Lord John Grey. I mean, for better and for worse, you know? But for the sake of our discussion tonight, I've already told Katie that I'm going to try my best to follow Claire's example and be measured and be fair. Okay. So the episode jumps right into all the situations when Lord John literally rides up on a horse and arrives at Fraser's Ridge.
Yeah, he rides up, and I mean, and I agree with what you said, and I feel the same way too. Like any sort of threat, and be it Leary or Lord John Grey or Frank, you sort of feel defensive. Like you're not supposed to be here. Like this is not your place. This is not where you're supposed to be, and you want them gone. You have these hostile feelings toward them. And so when he rode up, I think that Lord John Grey genuinely cares for Jamie. And I understand that. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, your lane is over here. Like, please exit. And so, but Jamie was really shocked to see him, because we were also very shocked because I didn't know that he had written John. And he's like, you know, I'm on my way to Virginia to check on stuff. And like Jamie says, Virginia's a bit north of here, John. Like you made a pretty big detour. And so that let you know, like straight off the bat, that there were other motives than just checking on a friend.
True. However, with that said, I think it's important to point out that their relationship, like I wrote down in my notes, like it was just like riding a bicycle. They picked up exactly where they left off, right? Which is being very friendly with one another, being very familiar with one another, joking with one another, sharing each other's confidences, sharing each other's secrets. You know what I mean? They picked up right where they left off. And I mean, I can't lie to you. I do really like their friendship. I love their friendship because, you know, Lord John came into Jamie's life at a time when Jamie desperately needed people that he could rely on, people that he could trust. And Lord John has always maintained Jamie's trust and has striven. Is that the word? Striven? Striven?
If it's not, it is now.
You know what I mean? To be a good friend to Jamie. And that's something I appreciate. So I know when Lord John arrives, it is a surprise and it is a detour. But I believe that Jamie is very genuinely happy to see Lord John. I believe that so sincerely. And I'm thankful for that friendship.
Yeah. You're doing so much better at this than I thought you were going to. So I'm just going to be like, yeah, what she said, because that's the right thing to say.
It's more than that.
And I do appreciate their friendship, and I appreciate that all that Lord John has done for Jamie. And honestly, Lord John Grey has been a part of Jamie's life and a part of this show for a very long time. It's just he started becoming more of a bigger part of the series as he gained affluence and was able to help Jamie in ways that he wouldn't have been when we kind of first met him. And it's good. And Jamie looks up, admires, he holds him in such high regard because of the things he's done for him and the things that he's done for Willie. And you can't deny that about him.
You can't.
He has really gone above and beyond for Jamie. And even though he could, he has not taken advantage of that.
Yes, exactly. So I think back to last season when we were recording these. I mean, several people, and I was very explicit again in my dislike of Lord John Grey, and several people just in comments on social media kept on coming to me and saying, but Lord John is honorable. Lord John is honorable. He would never take advantage. He would never do sort of these underhanded things that you're projecting onto him. And I see. Lord John is honorable, especially in his relationship with Jamie. So I respect that. So Lord John arrives. He tells Jamie, look, he's here. And of course, when he says we know who he is. William is here with him. And Lord John wanted to take a little time in order to help prepare Jamie for what's to come, right? So as we've said, they're on their way to Virginia to oversee some of Isabel's holdings. Speaking of Isabel, she has passed away. We learn after when Jamie asks about William's mother, we learn that Isabel passed away in the journey to join Lord John, and William is he's still grieving. He's still very much heartbroken about this. So that situation is going on as well. So while Jamie and Lord John are having this tete-a-tete, meanwhile, Claire and William are having their own meet cute of sorts, right?
Yes, that was adorable because, well, what started that whole scene is, Claire and Murtaugh talking, and she's kind of trying to get him to stay or get him to, because Fraser's Ridge feels like home with him there. And I agree, having Murtaugh around these last 2 episodes has been, it's just been so wonderful because I've missed him so much. And then we meet William, and he's this adorably sweet little lord. I mean, honestly, with leeches on his legs. And it's just, he's cute. He's cute, and he seems so much older than what he is by the way he speaks and holds himself. And I know that he's trying to assume this role in life. But it's just, you look at him and you go, that's still so much a child.
Yeah.
And I love him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was surprised by how much I really liked William. I mean, because he's super pretentious and he can be a brat, but he's also really sweet. You know what I mean? And he wears his heart on his sleeve in a way that I didn't really expect. He's not good at hiding his emotions. Mm-hmm. When he is sad, you see it. When he's fearful, you see it. When he's happy, you see his little smile as well, right? But I imagine that he's a product of his time, just as you said, Katie, right? That he is a child, but as a lord, he has certain expectations that he will be assuming, or perhaps is already assumed, right? So there's a certain level of dignity and a certain level of expectation that he is now associated with, and you see him trying to carry that. So I thought that interaction with Claire was super adorable with the leeches, and he's like, "Get them off! I want my father."
Yes, and it was so cute because Claire is trying to explain to him, she's very calmly taking them off and explaining to him why leeches are good and why we needed to, keep some of them. And he is just, I'm good. You can take as many of them as you want. Just get them off now. I don't care what you do with them later. I want my dad.
Yes. Like a kid.
Yeah.
he's such a kid. So Claire removes the leeches, brings him back to the cabin in order to finish the job of cleaning his wounds. And whoa, oh hi there, Lord John. And that moment was so awkward. There were so many, like I wrote the review for tonight, and I think I wrote in the review something like there were so many emotions in the room, because there's like shock, then there's like also confusion, then there's like awe, because like you see Jamie's face, right? Like Jamie cannot take his eyes off that boy, right? He's so in love. You know what I mean? Like he's so in love and so attuned to William, right? So there's just a lot of emotion in the room as well. Meanwhile, Murtaugh is also there, and he's like, I don't understand what these dynamics are, but something is going on here, and here I am observing it. And Claire is like, why are you here?
You're exactly right. Like, like there's so much going on, and there's so little said, but you can see it in Claire's face, her eyes. You can see it in Murtaugh's face. Jamie, like you said, his face and his eyes convey so much when he's looking at William. And really, I think the only person there that truly is understanding where everyone else is in that moment is Lord John Grey.
Yes.
Like
yes.
He knows what William, he knows William has no idea. He knows what Claire, he can tell by Claire. He knows that he and Murtaugh are not going to have a whole lot going on together because of how they parted ways. And Jamie, he's just been, so like Lord John Grey is the one who's in this room going,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And you're right. And he to the, and he being who he is, takes control of the situation, right? He introduces William he formally introduces William to Jamie as well as Claire. He addresses Murtaugh Fitzgibbons, I wasn't expecting to see you. You look, this is great. And he bows. So he sort of takes control of the situation. And Claire goes out to finish cleaning the wounds. And I thought that the exchange between these Ardsmuir men, these three men, sort of sets up a really interesting dynamic that carries on into the next major scene of the show, right? So as soon as William is out of the room, Lord John says, he does not know how we three know one another, and I would appreciate if we keep that between ourselves, right? So it's really interesting to think about. In that moment, you think about the nature of the relationship between these three men, and how Murtaugh can perceive that the original relationship, that being of a warden and a prisoner between Jamie and Lord John, has shifted, and he doesn't understand why. He can't put his hand on it, but something has shifted, right?
Mm-hmm. And that was one thing that really, and it carries through the next scene, and it carries through the next scene where it's just Jamie and Murtaugh talking. And Murtaugh is like, I don't understand what you think you owe this man and this child. Because even though Murtaugh's told him, I want to hear every one of your stories, Jamie has left some things out. And I know that he left them out for a purpose, but I still think that hurt Murtaugh. I think that hurt his feelings to not know that story or to have that hole. But like you said, that whole dynamic between them, it carries until, through the dinner scene until Murtaugh heads on out.
Yeah, because there's a power dynamic. Yeah. There's like a power differential there. There's also like a class differential. And these two things definitely come to a head at dinner that night, right? Because, Lord John and William are talking about their travels, how they just visited Governor Tryon's palace, and it was a monument to elegance. It was a monument to stability, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, Murtaugh is scandalized. If Murtaugh is scandalized, right? He's like, these are taxpayer dollars. These are taxpayer monies that this guy just used to build himself a new house. Meanwhile, people don't have resources here and we're getting charged more and more and more taxes, right? So like everyone besides Murtaugh is trying to be sort of delicate about the situation. Like, oh, maybe that wasn't such a wise, move to spend that much. Meanwhile, Murtaugh is like, why?
And see, I love that about him because he is everyone else is trying to be very delicate and, just not confrontational at all. But Murtaugh's like, no, this is a problem. And this is a problem I have seen before. Mm-hmm. And I know what happens to a problem like this if we let it go unchecked and we just let it continue on and on and on. And I don't want to live through that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while this is starting, let's try and finish it before it gets to be too much. But he comes on in his very, straightforward Murtaugh way, and it doesn't set well with Lord John Grey at all.
No, it doesn't land very well, right? Because Murtaugh is talking about abuse of power. He's talking about abuse of money. And Lord John is like, this is a monument to the stability of the crown, right? And you, Mr. Fitzgibbons, haven't you done well here in North Carolina? Haven't you done well in the New World? And then Murtaugh's like, well, I don't have to eat rats like I used to have to eat rats. And you're just like, we agreed we weren't going to say anything. We agreed.
Yes. When he said that, I went, oh. And the little boy's like, you ate rats?
I know.
And they're like, oh, he's got a funny sense of humor. And then Murtaugh does what he could have continued on, but he looks at William and he winks. And in that moment, like, I love Murtaugh so much.
Of course.
Because it's such a sweet, like he's such an old coot. Like, he just looks at him and winks. And William's like, oh, it's a joke. And everyone else is like, oh my God.
I know. Like, why did it have to escalate? Like, it was escalating, right? Like, Lord John defending Tryon, calling them a mob. Murtaugh defending the regulators, talking about, like, Tryon's abuses. And that it reaches this crescendo. And then Murtaugh bounces. He's like, thanks for dinner. I'm leaving. I'm out. And he leaves.
I know. And meanwhile, I'm like, it's dark. And isn't it a 3-day ride to where you need to go? You need to stay the night. Yes. Think of your safety.
And that sort of, then we're in another sort of transitionary period. Like, Claire is cleaning away the dishes. Jamie, William, and Lord John are sort of talking. William needs to go to the restroom and he asks for a chamber. Can't somebody just bring in a chamber back? And Claire's look is like, you need to check your kid.
I know. She's like, has no one told him how things work here yet?
But Lord John does, right? He does. He properly chases the boy and says, look, we're here and we're going to do as they do here. And Jamie takes William outside. And as he's going outside, he says something in Gaelic to calm the horses. And it triggers a memory for William. William remembers Mac. He remembers Mac.
He does. And one of the things that really struck me about that conversation is when he asked him, his name is Mackenzie. And he's like, it's one of my given names. And he asks him, like, it doesn't even occur to him that in this new world that Mac could own this home or own this land or own these animals. It's like, are you the groom here? And he's like, no, this is mine. This is my land. I take care of the horses. I take care of everything. And that shows you just how big of a class difference.
Yes.
There is, that he looks at Jamie, he looks at Mac, and he doesn't see him being able to move beyond where he was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of sad, but also it's very indicative of the time.
Exactly. It's very telling. It's very, very telling, right? And I also think it starts to potentially jar William a little bit out of his comfort zone, right? That's like, you even think about in that moment, you know, he's resentful of Jamie a little bit, right? He's like, you know, why didn't you tell me of our previous acquaintance before, like when we first met? And Jamie says he doesn't know. Jamie says, do you still have the wooden snake I carved for you? And then William, heart on his sleeve, like clearly agitated, right? He says, I'm too old for toys, sir. And he walks away, and he goes to the outhouse. And you can just see there's a lot of pain there, right? I mean, Jamie is hurt, but guess what? I feel like William is hurt too. Like, we know each other. We had a relationship, and you just pretended like you didn't know me and I didn't know you. What's going on?
And you're right. And I do think that frustrates him so much so that it takes him all these days to finally work up the nerve to ask Jamie, why didn't you turn around? And you know, like, you can see it in this moment, especially when you go back and watch it, like this frustration, and then their relationship when they're on their camping trip, it mounts to where he finally feels comfortable enough to say, why didn't you turn around? Mm-hmm. Like, if we were such close friends, I ran towards you and you never turned around. And that's such a hard thing for him to ask. Yeah. But you notice whenever he asks it, he's not facing Jamie.
No.
Like, he's not looking him in the eyes. It's something that you can ask, but it's something that you don't want to kind of have too close of a contact. You're not going to look him in the face and ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you can imagine with William, he's lost a lot of people, right? People who are close to him. He lost his birth mother. Presumably he lost his birth father. He just lost his aunt who raised him as a mother. You know, during the first, several 5-6 years of his life, Jamie was a huge part of his life. Jamie tells Claire the story afterwards, the story of the first time William rides a horse, and how William was really scared, and he was saying "Mo, Mo," which is how he said no, right? Which I thought was the most adorable story in the world. It was so adorable.
I gotta say something about that, but I'm gonna put a pin in it.
Okay. So he tells the story about how it was Jamie who facilitated his first experience with horseback riding, right? And literally like put him face to face with this horse and calmed him down. And that became a joy for a lifetime, a joy that Jamie holds very close to his heart as well. So it's just, and to have that relationship, it's true. And then not have Jamie, when he's leaving Hellwater those years ago, not have Jamie turn around and acknowledge him. That has to be so hurtful, especially, for a young boy.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, to have all these losses, and really, his mother died in childbirth. Mm-hmm. And so he never knew her. So his first real loss he experienced was Jamie. And then Isabel, and he thinks that his dad now is about to die.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to hold him accountable or ask why. He's trying to work through these feelings. And one of the things that caught me, whenever Jamie's telling Claire the story about helping him learn to ride and being there for him, and I know that this is not how Claire is outwardly, but I can't help but think how hurt she is a little that Jamie has no memories like that with Bree.
Yeah.
Like, he has these small memories, even though William doesn't know him as his father, he does have these small memories of helping William learn to ride a horse, knowing what William was like as a baby and a child, and even a small child. And there's a part of Claire that knows that Jamie will never get to experience those things with Bree. And that's hard.
That's really hard.
That is really hard. And I think that whenever we go into the next part, Lord John Grey hits her exactly where it hurts.
Yeah. But the thing I think is important to keep in mind is that Claire doesn't hold it against Jamie. She does not.
Oh no, she doesn't hold it against him at all.
Not one time, right? When Jamie comes to her and is like, when he recognized me, my heart dropped from my chest, he remembers me. And what does Claire say? Claire calms him down. She says that, of course it makes sense he would remember you. You guys just need an opportunity to get to know one another again. And in fact, Lord John is waiting for you inside for a chess game. So, you know what I mean? So she's like facilitating Jamie, these relationships that Jamie has. And I think I thought that was really important to see, right? Because because Ian was away, right? He's away on this hunting trip with their local Cherokee friends. And I imagine Jamie and Claire are thinking this is going to be some time for us to reconnect. And they have guests now, right? And she says, go be with Lord John, go have this time. When they leave, I'm going to expect your full attention. But for now, go on. It's going to be fine. And I love Claire for that.
I think that she handles everything so well and with such grace. And she does. I don't think she holds anything against Jamie. I guess it's more of like a bittersweet feeling that she's happy for him that he gets to experience these things. But it's also there's a feeling of loss there that they didn't get to share these things together. Mm-hmm. And Claire is, and we said this at the beginning, Claire is a person that's always going to be a better person than I would ever be when it comes to these type of situations and these things like that. And then when you were talking about how she was, facilitating the relationships and telling him, go, play chess with your friend, go visit, I expect your attention later. I'll be completely honest with you, and I'm not sure, and I'm also trying to kind of, break the tension of the seriousness. This was the scene where she was playing with his scruff the entire time. And I know that it's such a small thing, but just that, just like the intimacy and the small connection and the way that she's just talking to him and just rubbing the scruff of his jaw and neck. There's an underlying tension to it, a promise of more, but it's one of those things, I'll take this right now because I know that I can't have anything else. And just being able to touch you this way is enough for now.
For now.
Enough
for now. And it's really super sexy.
Yes.
For now. Oh gosh. Oh, I love those two. Right? Which is when people say that you don't have to worry about Lord John. Claire and Jamie are so solid. I agree with you. They are so solid. And we've been saying that, in practically every single review we've done this season. Their relationship is so solid. But that doesn't mean I like someone poking around. But we'll get there.
Amen.
Jamie goes inside. He has this exchange with Murtaugh, which is interesting, right? Which is because Murtaugh's like, you need to pick Lord John's brain and see if you can find out any information about Governor Tryon. Because, this is where Murtaugh is at. He's trying to figure out how he can help his regulator buddies. And Jamie is like, no, I'm not going to abuse my relationship. And it's, as you said, it's about Murtaugh sort of trying to put his finger on this. Why? What is it about this guy who's a former warden? Who's he to you? Why do you care about him? Why do you care about his son? What's their relationship, right? That ultimately Murtaugh is able to put pieces together and say, no, this is your kid. And Jamie admits it, but as he tells him, for the sake of William's reputation, we have to keep this secret. And Murtaugh, I mean, of course Murtaugh was going to keep the secret. You know what I mean? But I thought it was really interesting that two things. First, I thought it was interesting that Jamie asked or told him that it must be important to keep the secret. And secondly, I thought it was interesting how Murtaugh was like, does Claire know? And also, one day maybe you'll tell me about the boy's mother, unless that's a secret too. And he sort of like walks off. And you're like, ooh, that doesn't feel like a positive place that they left off at, right? So I just think it's just little things, right? But I see a conflict between Jamie and Murtaugh coming. And I don't know if I'm projecting. I know people who are watching, I hope you'll comment on this. I see a conflict between them coming. I see it coming, a big conflict.
And I agree with you. I agree with you completely on that, because I can feel it too. Like there's this underlying tension that's sort of, and it's not the good tension. It's not the for now tension. It's there's going to be a big blow up happen tension that I don't want to happen. But the moment that Jamie asks him, or doesn't ask them, he says, you have to keep this a secret. You can't tell anyone. I think that kind of hurts Murtaugh. Like I wouldn't have told anyone anyway. Like I've kept each and every one of your secrets. He's kept big secrets, like the fact that Claire is not of their time. So, and also, why would he say anything about this boy? Why would he hurt someone that Jamie cares so much for? And, and I think that as he's walking away that, first of all, does Claire know? That's important, because I think Murtaugh cares so much for Claire. He wants to make sure that she's not been left in the dark, because would be hurtful to her if she found out, unexpectedly. And then he says, maybe you can tell me about his mother, if that's not a secret. That's a shot at Jamie.
Yeah.
Because Jamie didn't even tell him that William was his son. Murtaugh made a statement, and Jamie kind of was like, you can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And so I'm not prepared for where that relationship seems
either. Yeah, I'm not either. But I feel a conflict between them coming, and I don't know. I have no idea how it would be resolved or how it could be resolved. But I'm nervous. I was so happy to see Murtaugh, and I am happy to see Murtaugh. Yeah. But gosh, there's a conflict between those two coming, and yeah, as you say, I'll put a pin in that, but that's something that I'm reflecting on, like thinking about. Mm-hmm. Jamie goes inside, they play chess. Jamie offers Lord John a whiskey that he's distilling, right? So book readers, Jamie has started the whiskey distillery, and we know that distillery plays, those casks of whiskey play a pretty huge role in future books. So it was nice to see that endeavor has started, and hopefully one day we will see those casks. Maybe when Fergus and Marsley arrive, we will get to see that entire whiskey operation. And Lord John asks Jamie, "Are you content?" And Katie and Jamie says yes, right? That he has a home, he has a work, he has his wife, and he has the assurance that his son is well cared for, right? All good things.
Yeah, that's great.
All good things.
Friend would be super happy for their friend.
Katie, I can't with your face. But the next few days come, Lord John and William are getting ready to go. Lord John has the measles, right? So Lord John is not going anywhere. Claire has been inoculated, so she's not at risk. Jamie and Murtaugh got measles as children, so they are not at risk. But young William is at risk, right? So they have to get William out of there. And Jamie comes up with this idea: I am going to take William on a tour of Fraser's Ridge.
That was fun.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have this entire Jamie William adventure. Even though William did not want to go. William did not want to go. Jamie had to did you see the way Jamie snatched him up by his neck?
Yes.
Jamie snatched him up and then bodily put him on the horse. I was like, don't make me tie your legs to the stirrups.
He's like, don't kick. That's ill-mannered.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, bless your heart.
Oh wait, and then William called him a lout.
A lout.
Oh my gosh. I love their interaction so much. But they go on an adventure, and it's a really great adventure.
For the most part. I mean, it was so sweet to see them interact. It really was. And Jamie to kind of teach him these things and to say, you see these trees, don't go past this line, and to explain to him their relationship with the Native Americans in the area. And I mean, to do the things that that Jamie always wanted to do with his son, like try and get him to go fishing or try and take him hunting. And that, I thought that was beautiful. And when they're eating at night, he says, my dad told me it tastes better when you've killed, when it's your kill. And I'm just, I'm so happy for Jamie because he doesn't get these little moments of happiness much at all.
Yeah. But he has it now, right? Where he could stand in the creek with his son and talk about catching a fish with his hands in a tickle, right? Where he could, where after, killing the stag, he can show his son, he could teach his son how to dress the stag, right? And as you said, Katie, at night over dinner, they're cooking, and William's into it. William's like, yeah, this tastes really good. Like William's really into it too, even though he really didn't want to leave his dad, but that fear for his father is something that William can't let go. And of course we don't expect him to, right? That he's so afraid that when he gets back from this trip, his dad won't be there anymore, right? And that scene, that final night scene, when they're cooking over dinner, that fear and that resentment come boiling over, right? Because he resents Jamie that if my dad hadn't wanted to come here and see you, he wouldn't be sick and everything would be fine. You know what I mean? So that, and again, there's a lot of emotion in the exchange. William is really frustrated. He's really fearful, but Jamie's also feeling, he's feeling like it's like a kick in the gut, right? Because like you're my son, right? And we just had a really good day. And can that be enough? I mean, but of course it isn't. But the wish is that it could be, right? Enough for Jamie as well.
And that is, I like how in that scene, Jamie knows the emotion has turned, and instead of outright kind of asking him again and again, well, what's wrong with you? It goes from, well, did the apples not sit well in your stomach? I've got something for that. Claire is a great healer.
Yes.
Coming right out and saying your dad's going to be okay. It's Claire's a great healer. She's, done so much. She's very good at healing ailments. It's just sort of all these trying to make William see that, it's going to be okay. He's in good hands. Without being in your face. He's going to be fine.
Yeah. And also I in that moment, I perceived Jamie as trying to help William maintain his pride a little bit, right? So not making any comment about his sniffles or the tears, right? Not making any comment about his potentially being fearful. Just as you said, Katie, like attributing it to some sort of stomach ailment. But don't worry, I have something here from Claire that's going to help you. And don't worry, if Claire made a promise to you that your dad's going to be okay, then you can bank on that promise. Your dad's going to be okay. Just again, trying to reassure him. But he's a youngster, you know what I mean? And sometimes words aren't enough. He wants to see his dad and he wants to see his dad now, right? So he storms off and goes to sleep. And you could tell that Jamie wanted more, but he had to sort of a boundary was set up and Jamie couldn't go past that boundary, right? So he covers them with the blanket and they go to sleep. And I wonder what happens in between like in between sort of that moment where William storms off and like dives onto the cot or whatever, and the next morning, right? Because it seems to me that he goes a separate way. It seems to me that William was trying to do something good, right? Like maybe William saw that, I actually in that exchange with Jamie, I didn't say the right thing. I shouldn't have taken it out on him. Here, I'm gonna go. He told me about spear fishing. I'm gonna go get a spear and I'm gonna capture a fish that we can use for our breakfast. So I perceived it as a positive that he realized he'd done something that he isn't necessarily proud of, but he wants to make up for it by catching breakfast for them.
See, that's how I read it too. That's because when Jamie finds him, his response isn't something like, snotty. It's, look, I found something to break our fast.
Yeah.
Like he wants to show him, like, I've learned something, like you've taught me something. I can help too. But his intentions are well placed, but he just went to the wrong side of the creek.
Yeah.
And that's where things get all, intense and scary, because Jamie knows exactly what's going to happen if you get caught on this side of the creek.
Yeah. And he rushes, but he isn't able to get Willie out of that there in time. This group of Cherokee warriors arrive, and they say that, in exchange for killing this fish on Cherokee land, you have to pay with your blood, right? And Jamie is trying to his ability to defuse the situation, but you can tell he's freaking out. Like, he's freaking out. This is his kid. What do you mean that you have to pay this price with the blood? And he says, no, he is my son. You can take my blood, right? It tells Willie, follow the river until you get back to Fraser's Ridge. But William won't leave, right? William won't leave.
He's not going, and I liked it because he's so brave and he's so earnest in the, he's not my dad. He told me where not to go. I disobeyed him. It's my fault. But at the same time, Jamie's like, no, oh my God, no, don't let this happen. And I want to know, if he hadn't stepped forward, would they have taken the same cut of Jamie that they took of William, or would it have been a much more, it would have been a heavier price to pay?
That's a good question.
Even Jamie says, I think that it was this way because you showed courage.
Yeah, yeah. And William did, and he was honest. He was honest, and I think we as viewers saw it, and those Cherokee warriors saw it as well, right? And they took their price, and it's a warning, right? It's well, let me not say a warning. It is a lesson, right? William learned a lesson, right? He learned that the boundaries between these boundaries and these Native American lands must be respected. But I think he also learned something, I don't know, maybe I'm just projecting, right? But it seems to me that this entire time that William has been talking about Native Americans, he's been talking about them as savages, right? These people they're not like me, they're not like us, they're not even, they're not even necessarily human in the same way I am human. But the fact that he sees these Native American warriors extend him, like, recognize his courage and extend him mercy, I mean, that seems like a meaningful exchange to me.
I thought it was, and I think that that's something that he could probably take with him whenever if he ever encounters anyone else again, or if he talks to even Lord John. And I don't know if he ever will describe that encounter in its true detail, but I think it is a good lesson to learn, especially for someone who's just come over and all he has are these preconceived, or what has been told to him by these kind of upper crust people, and because that's how they view the Native Americans, and no one's changing that.
Yeah. And then the hug between William and Jamie. William clings to him, and then they're like, "Look, we gotta go. Let's go home."
I time to go home. We've had our time.
We're going home, and it's on this ride back that Katie, you referenced this already. When William is able to ask Jamie all those years ago, why didn't you look back at me when you were leaving Hellwater? And Jamie responds, I wanted to. I didn't look because I didn't want to give you false hope. I never expected to see you again. Right? And then William smiles. Right? Yeah. And I think that perhaps lifts something on his heart, right? It's not that you didn't look back because you don't care about me. You didn't look back because you care so much. Mm-hmm. Right? And William smiles, right? And he remembers that because at the end of the episode, when they are leaving, William turns around and looks back.
He does. And in that moment, like, Jamie can't stop himself from like walking forward.
Yeah.
Because it's such a beautiful moment, because William knows that when he looks back, it's saying, I'm going to see you again. Yes. One day I'll see you again. And Jamie kind of getting so hopeful that he just moves even a little bit. Oh, that one kind of, it was a heart clench moment.
It was, oh my gosh. This entire episode was unexpected for me as a viewer. This entire episode was unexpected. But I will tell you that allowing Jamie and William to have this experience together, this sense of, I don't want to use the word closure, but they came to a reconciliation. Reconciliation is a better word. They were able to be reconciled with one another, and then there's the hope for a future meeting and the continuation of their relationship. I'm joyful. I'm so joyful because I want this. I want this so much for Jamie, and I want it for William too.
I agree. And we've always said that if Jamie was able to be a part of his kid's life, then it would be wonderful in any capacity at this point. I just want Jamie to have that.
Okay. Meanwhile, so we sort of smashed Jamie and William's adventure together, and now we're going to unpack the other side, which is what Claire and Lord John were up to. And in my notes, I have written down Claire and Lord John, aka Sigh. Why is Claire so magnanimous, and why can't Lord John be better? Okay. So in my notes, I've sort of broken it down into 4 different confrontations between Lord John and Claire. Okay. And I guess we could just take it, we could just go down the line and take each one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's just start at the top.
Okay.
And let's preface this by saying we are both supportive of Lord John Grey and Jamie's friendship.
Yes.
We respect their mutual respect for each other. We understand that they care about each other in a way that maybe not everyone else understands, because they bonded over all of these different things. But all that being said, Lord John Grey does some things that are rude.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, Katie, I was thinking about this before we started, because I vowed to myself, I made a vow that, Boombi, you have to be fair. You have to be fair and to the best of your ability, even-minded. So I was thinking to myself, I told you guys at the beginning, right, that I view this entire world firmly from Claire's perspective. But I'm trying to sort of reorient myself and think about this in terms of Lord John Grey. And if I were Lord John Grey, and if there was someone I was in love with, desperately in love with, overwhelmingly in love with, and the world told me I could not be with this person, and he told me he could not be with me because he's in love with someone else, I'd be salty too. I'm just being honest. I would be salty. I would be shady too. So I'm trying to be fair because it's true. Lord John says some things that aren't nice, but Claire gives as good as she gets too.
I am so proud of you because I'm sitting here going, oh my God, am I going to have to be the one that's like, me? No, ma'am, you do not go in somebody's house, especially a woman who is trying to keep you alive, and disrespect her this way.
Okay. Let's go through confrontation by confrontation. Okay. So the first confrontation I have written down is where Claire accuses Lord John Grey of coming to Fraser's Ridge in order to spy for Governor Tryon. Ouch.
Yeah. Well, I think we were all thinking it, and that was all something that we...
Hold on. I wasn't thinking that.
Well, like...
You were thinking that?
I was.
A spy?
Well, no, like, there's something that said before she says those things. Oh, goodness. And it's... I wanted to... Oh... I don't remember what said, but Tryon is mentioned.
In terms of his palace?
It's something. And she asks him, you know, are you here for Tryon? Because I know that y'all are friends too. Jamie's already pledged his loyalty, so that's not an issue. And so I think that Claire is feeling him out. Mm-hmm. And this was the most obvious impersonal thing to go with first.
Yeah.
Before she was like, oh, so you're really here for this.
Yeah. So
it's almost like she was giving him a...
Yeah. It's well, I have to tell you the truth. There was not a single situation where I believe that Lord John was there to spy for Tryon, even sort of knowing and understanding that that he and Tryon are close and that he does side, he is on the side of the crown in these disputes over taxation. But, you know, Lord John just comes out and he's like, if our stay here is burdensome, we can go. And then Claire quickly pivots and she's like, no, I just wish that I had time to put together better accommodations for you and William, right? So it's a quick confrontation, but it's heated. It's heated.
I think she's testing the waters.
Yes.
She's testing the waters.
Yes. So then the entire measles thing happens. Confrontation 2 starts with Claire inquiring about Isabel's satisfaction in their marriage.
Yeah.
What does Claire expect? I'm sorry. Okay. Perhaps I'm going too far, but it just feels like, you know, because he's reflecting on how, oh, you know, Isabel and I grew up together. She was my sister. And Claire is like, if you perceived her as your sister, she could not have been satisfied in that marriage. It's like, ouch. Shots fired. No, that's so shady.
Oh, yeah, but also he did describe his relationship with her as that of a sister. Like, that would not be how I would describe my relationship with my wife to someone.
Okay.
That I barely knew. Like, I'd be like, I mean, I'd lie at least. I mean, I wouldn't be like, we were like siblings. It was cool.
No, but Claire is like, you know, Claire's hella straightforward. She's so straightforward.
She is.
She's hella straightforward. And she was like, you know, she can't have been satisfied with that. And then Lord John goes on to accuse Claire of being envious about their time together and envious of the fact that John and Jamie have this bond together over a child, a bond that he presumes Claire does not share with Jamie. And Claire lets him know right away that, in fact, we have a daughter together. Her name is Brianna. She's an adult. She lives in Boston. And we were robbed of the opportunity to raise her together because of Collided. So don't get it twisted.
Oh, I loved her so much in that moment. Because I do think that and Claire even admits that there is a part of her that is envious of that bond in some ways later, but they're both going and shooting barbs at each other that will hurt.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't know. I think Claire feels very protective of Jamie because, she went without him for 20 years and she has him back and she's like, this is my person. This is him. And I know that we've said that they're super solid in their relationship, but sometimes no matter how solid you are in a relationship, you have, you behave in some ways, like you behave jealously.
Yeah.
You can say that, you just do.
Yeah.
Like you can pretend all you want to that you can separate these emotions and compartmentalize these things. But if this is yours and it's yours, you're going to react.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, on the other end, you have Lord John, who wants Jamie so much and is in love with him and has been in love with him and knows he cannot have him. And I don't think that these two are ever going to reconcile those. I don't think they're ever going to be friends. I think they respect each other, but it's never going to be smooth for either of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even the scene continues, right? And she's like, why would you the risk that if William were to recognize himself in Jamie, that risk, how it would devastate him, yet you still took the risk, right? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, why did you come, right? And he says the obvious, to allow Jamie to see the boy, or the other, and Claire says, or the other obvious, to allow you to see Jamie, right? And again, I think this grudging respect for one another shows through, right? Because Lord John, very grudgingly says that he, Claire's remarkable for her straightforwardness, and Claire says, well, it isn't a choice. I was born this way. And, when Claire walks away, Lord John whispers, so was I.
Yeah. And I can't imagine for him what it's like to live in a time where he can't be who he is.
Yeah.
He cannot actively find love in someone that he wants to, because that's just never going to happen. And so Lord John Grey has to live a secret life. Like he has to hide who he is his entire life. And he has to watch the man that he loves and knows that he can never have be happy and satisfied and have this wonderful relationship. And he doesn't think that he is ever going to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't think he is ever going to see the satisfaction. He even tells Claire that it's the satisfaction on her face.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he's envious of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking, right? Because Lord John does have this secret. Jamie knows this secret, and Jamie still cares for him, and Jamie still wants to be his friend, right? And that has to be very, that has to be so meaningful.
And it has to be freeing in a way for him.
Yeah, sure.
He doesn't have to hide anything from him.
And I feel like Claire's like that. Jamie and Claire have sort of a similar situation as well, right? Because sort of Claire is outside of her time, and very few people, 2 people, right, in this timeline know who she is, Jamie and Murtaugh, right? So Claire can be her full sort of 20th century self with Jamie in a way that she can't necessarily be with anyone else, right? And Lord John, similarly, I think, can be his whole self with Jamie in a way that he can't be with other people. But I mean, the thing is, like, they're at loggerheads here, right? Because I mean, Jamie is in fact my husband, and we have a child together. So, and you can't, Lord John, no matter what you say, no matter what you think, no matter what you may believe your relationship with him to be, you can't, you're not the love of his life. I'm the love of his life. Right?
Yeah. And
it's
just, it's never gonna, there's nothing ever there, because it's like I think she's going to, I don't know, he's always going to be resentful. And I don't mean that to paint him in a horrible light, but when you see the person you love with someone else and know you're never going to be with them, you can't help but have a little bit of hard feelings toward the person that he's with.
Yeah.
And think, well, I could be a better partner. I could be,
which I think transitions really well into confrontation number 3, which is Lord John's deathbed confession that when he was told that Isabel had died, he didn't feel anything. And the true reason he came to Fraser's Ridge is because he wanted to see if he was still capable of feeling something. And Claire asks him, why torture yourself? You're never going to have him. And what does Lord John Grey say?
He says, I could have had him.
Yes.
And I'm going to be completely honest with you. When he said that, that rubbed me.
I saw the text.
Way. And like this whole scene, like Fumi has all of my texts. That rubbed me the wrong way so bad. And I know he comes back and says, but I wouldn't have wanted him under those circumstances. I would have wanted him to come to me of his own free will. And I guess that's supposed to make him noble in a way. And it does, because he would never do anything to Jamie that Jamie didn't want, or force Jamie into anything. Like, I know that. But in that moment when he says, oh, I could have had him, it makes me think, I wonder if there are some nights or some days when he just thinks about this and wonders if he could have just did things differently, just to have had him once. And would that have helped the situation? Would that have made it worse? I feel like Lord John Grey lives in a world of what ifs and just unfulfilled and unrequited feelings.
Oh my gosh, so much unrequited love. So much unrequited love.
And in some ways, I don't like how he kind of encroaches on this relationship, but then I can't help but feel awful for him.
Yeah.
He goes through life with all of that unrequitedness and all of that just your heart being that way.
Oh
God.
The thing is like, unrequited love sucks. It sucks. And the thing is, like, you can't help it. And I'm trying my best to put myself in Lord John's shoes. Like, he cannot help it, but he is in love with this man. Also, he is also like really sick from measles. He's thinking he's about to die. He has this fever, like this headache. So I attribute much of this encounter, of this confrontation, to like delirium from his illness and thinking that he's going to die. I'm not excusing it. Katie, don't look at me that way.
No.
Don't look at me that way.
No. I was just going to say that I was like Claire, and I think Claire in one part of her mind understands that he is delirious. He has an insanely high fever. His head hurts so bad. He does think he's going to die. And that's why she just tells him, she doesn't come back at him with some cut. She doesn't come back at him with something awful. She just tells him, just stop talking.
Yeah. Stop talking. You need to rest now.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
Because she could have come back. Because she got a sharp tongue. She could have come back with something, but instead, like, her face just shows so much kind of feeling and hurt, and just stop talking.
Yeah.
Let's just get you through the night, friend.
Yeah. And he does. And he wakes up the next morning, or the next day, I assume, And this is what I have for confrontation number 4. Isn't really a confrontation. It's more of an encounter. And Lord John apologizes, right? He apologizes and, for being indiscreet. And he tells Claire, look, when I said it was hard to see you and Jamie together, it isn't because I want him for myself. It's because every time I see you with him, I see your look of satisfaction. And I wish that I could have given Isabel that same kind of satisfaction. And I couldn't, right? And he sort of talks about, is it, you want someone you love someone, you want them to be happy, but you yourself are not capable of giving them that happiness, right? And that, of course, rings a bell with Claire, right? Because, Katie, your face.
Well, no, because whenever they were talking about that,
Yeah.
I went, oh my God, we're going to bond over Frank. And I like Jamie and Claire 100%. And I know Book Frank was awful. And I've never read the books, but I take your word on it because I believe you. And yes. But in the TV show, even though Frank he has his moments where you're just like, oh, I think Tobias Menzies played him in such a way that I feel a lot of empathy for TV Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a moment there, I feel Claire's pain that she knew that she couldn't make Frank happy and that the opportunity for his happiness passed him by.
Yeah.
And that brought up all these feelings, and I was...
Yeah. No, it's tough. Right. And they bond over that. And, Claire apologizes too. She also apologizes for and she admits to being envious. That I don't know. I don't know if that sits so well with me, but again, I can imagine that they lost 20 years together. Part of that time, Jamie spent with Lord John, so Claire would want that time back. And, Claire asks him, now that you've come here and seen him, do you still have feelings? And Lord John says, I do. Yes, God help me, right? And then Claire being way more magnanimous than I could ever be, takes Lord John's hand and reminds him that, you do have something of Jamie, William.
And see, that moment right there, it reminds me of whenever we were talking last season, when Claire was away from Jamie. Was it last season? Yeah, mm-hmm. Last season. And saying, at least she had Bree. She had some part of Jamie, and that her love of Jamie never died, but she had Bree to kind of help her along. And now she's kind of turning that around and telling Lord John Grey, just because you don't have him this way doesn't mean you don't have a piece of him.
Yeah. And
I'm like, why can't Jamie have his children? Like, just
that's a perpetual question, right? And it's interesting because Claire reassures Lord John that you have a piece of William, and then when William and Jamie get back home and William runs to his father, and Lord John asks, was he was he good, basically, and Jamie says, he was a brave companion, you've done a good job raising him, you're a good father, right? So I feel like that's Jamie also providing sort of that reassurance as well, that you have been entrusted with this very important piece, this very important individual, and you have done well, right? So I feel like all these confrontations are going on, but it ends with a point of reconciliation. And I especially think of when Claire encourages Lord John, right? And she says, and don't lose hope. You too deserve to have the look of satisfaction on your face, right? And mm-hmm. I just think... that's the best we can hope for. And it's a pretty good spot. It's a pretty good spot to be in. That's what I think.
I mean, it is. It's as good as you can hope for.
Yeah.
And Claire, and like I said earlier, and I think she has such a grace and the way she holds herself and the way she kind of handles situations. She does that in a beautiful way. Like, I would not be that way. And I guess that means that since I acknowledge that in myself, that's something that I should work on. But in my defense, I do not have these types of situations happening in my real life. Now, if my husband comes home one day and is like, I have another kid, yes, I will not act like Claire at all. But, you know, Claire does things in such a way that you admire her and you look up to her. And I think her and Jamie are a wonderful pair together.
Yes.
Like they are just, they were made for each other. Like this whole coming through time thing was just so that their souls could be together.
Yes.
Because it's how it's supposed to be.
Yes. So when we end the episode, right, with Jamie helping Claire to bathe and Jamie giving Claire this ring, right? And this ring made from his mother's candlestick holder, right? And to replace the one that Stephen Bonnet stole. And Murtaugh designed it, right?
And he was being super modest when he was like, I can do a little silversmithing. That ring is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Like with the Celtic designs, the inscription in Latin inside, give me 1,000 kisses. And then Claire responds, and I'll give you 1,000 more. And then the episode ends with them like in bed together, counting. Well, Claire's miscounting, but to be fair enough, she's distracted.
I mean, honestly, I miscounted too. Trying to get more kisses. That's all this is.
And it's so, gosh, can you it's
romantic. It's intimate. It's two people who are so comfortable with each other that they can play. Yes. It's because not everything has to be like super like steamy, sexy, like up against a wall. It can be fun and lovely and happy. And then it faded to black.
No, that I did not. I mean, we could get a little something. I mean, we did get a little something. I wish we would have gotten some more.
I'm greedy because I was like, I put up with all this emotional angst throughout this entire episode.
You could give me some sexy times. So I did not necessarily appreciate that fade to black, but it was so romantic. So romantic.
It was so romantic.
My heart is in my throat. It was just so romantic. And we end where we begin with, as we said, with Jamie and Claire, super, super, super solid. Super solid.
No, I mean, everything that happens, that they always come back to each other. And they weren't even, the only time that they were apart this episode is physically. Like, even though they were physically separated, they were still together. Like there was nothing coming between that. Nothing. It was just each of them kind of on their own journey.
Yeah.
Working through their own kind of, situations.
Yeah.
But they were still great. And there's
absolutely. And their commitment to one another, right? Like, I mean, their commitment to one another is certainly, is, as we've said, solid, but now there's this new symbol in that ring of that forever commitment, that forever love, that craving, desire that they have for one another, right, is embodied in this ring. So I was happy. I was very, 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 very happy.
Yeah.
And then they showed us the preview for next week. And then we saw Stephen Bonnet. And then I hate you, Stephen Bonnet. And that's what I will say.
Yeah. I will say, like, in the preview for next week, it shows, I mean, obviously, Bree has gone back.
He has.
Well, it surprised me, though, and I guess it shouldn't, because I know Roger like messed up and he knows he messed up, and I thought Roger would like immediately go through the stones, but when we see him walking up to them with Fiona, it's snowing. And so he's obviously been waiting. And so I sort of want to know, like, what did Roger find out? Like, did Roger find anything, or did Roger decide that he was going to go? Did Fiona talk him into it? Like, I have so many questions about next week, and I just want the episode. Like,
yeah, I kind of wish that this was like a Netflix type thing, that we just get all the episodes and we can binge it. But I also very much like the fact that we get to watch week to week, and we get to sit here week to week, and I get to talk to you, Katie, and we get to talk to our, those of our friends who watch every week with us and talk about the episode. That's also a really, really fun process as well. So
I agree.
I will not complain too much, but overall, I would say I really, really appreciate David Barry as an actor.
Yes.
In this episode. Well, I mean, at all, but certainly in this episode as well. I thought I thought Lord John Grey's emotional range was so well done. I can't remember the name of the young boy actor who plays William. Oh gosh, I had it on the tip of my tongue as well. But I thought that I don't know, was it casting or what they did, but he looked like Jamie to me.
They had the same bangs.
The same man bangs.
The same man bangs. Like I was in episode 4 when I finally realized that Jamie had man bangs. I was like, but he and his son have the same bangs.
In terms of looking alike, and again, his emotional range as well. So, I mean, there was just a lot going on in terms of this episode. A lot of angst, as we said. But I thought it ended in a really good place, and I thought it was important to go on that journey with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
So this, as I said, this episode was super unexpected for me. I was not expecting it. I wasn't necessarily happy with every single part, but I do understand why we needed to go on this journey with these characters in this episode. And I am satisfied. SAT word, the SAT word of the night. I am satisfied with where we are at the end.
I was sitting there the whole night singing "Satisfied" in my head from Hamilton.
Hamilton,
I'll be satisfied. Yeah. Anyway, but I was very happy with the episode. I was happy with the writing. To be able to take this, I mean, it was 59 minutes, like after the little intro commercial and the preview, like 58 minutes, to be able to take this episode and make it so rich with confrontation and resolution, and everyone is contributing something. And I thought that was an incredible writing feat to be able to get all that in there and to have it resolved in each of its little parts.
For sure. And I mean, Sam and Kate are glorious, week in, week out.
Oh, yeah.
Week out. And also, before I forget, many congratulations to Katrina Balfe on her Golden Globes nomination. So well deserved.
Yes, congratulations.
So well deserved. I mean, she's phenomenal. I mean, Sam is also phenomenal. As I said, I mean, every single week, right? These two bring it. They bring it. And it's so wonderful to watch them every week. It's so wonderful. I love it. I really do.
I agree with you. I do. I'm hoping for the day that we'll see both of them
get that nomination.
Get that nom.
Yeah.
Because it would be well deserved. But yeah, Kat, congratulations to her. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So friends, that was a really long outline, but we got through it. That's everything I have, Katie. How about you?
Yeah, that's everything. I think we hit it all.
Yes, we did. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. with us this week. Please, again, make sure to check out our recap. The link is right down below. Just go take a look. Please do find us on social media. Connect with us. Tell us what you thought about the episode. Tell us what you're thinking about the season so far. Some of your speculation, like, for example, if you're thinking, you think you have an idea about the conflict between Jamie and Murtaugh, let us know. If you think you might figure out where are Fergus and Marsley, are they going to get to Fraser's Ridge soon? Let us know, right? All the speculation you have, all your thoughts, we want them. We always want to hear from you. So thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you. Happy holidays.
Yay. Happy holidays. Hope you have a great week. And come back next Sunday and talk with us some more.
Absolutely. Definitely come back. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Take it easy.